Hi, it's Ray from ProShaper Workshop. We're back on this 33 Ford Fender again. As you've watched the first two episodes, you see that the fender had collapsed when they welded this in, and the typical that happens, it could have been accident damage, or it could have been they just were lax in making sure the measurements were right, which they probably didn't do. And then when they welded it in, it shrunk a little bit. So there was about 5/8 of an inch difference in the length from the bracket in the back where the running board attaches to the longest point on the front of the fender. So we had stretched it out before and welded the wire. The wire was broken. We made this square tubing bracket. It bolts in right here on one of the running board bolts, and then just clamps on the front here. We made this bracket off of the original other fender that doesn't have any damage. So we measured the distance on the original fender. It was 58 inches. And now we've got it held at 58 inches. So we'll leave that right in there. We'll make the new piece, weld it in with that in, planish out the welds and everything, then we'll take it off, and then we'll see where we're at. Now, the flexible shape pattern's fitting on there nice. We made another gauge. All our gauges were running this way. So we made another gauge like this. And now the objective is to actually make the little patch of sheet metal there. And we'll get that fit in. So that's the next thing we're going to do. All right, so there's the flexible shape pattern. We had it on up there. And I used the red pen. And there's the actual size of the pattern that I need to, the panel that I need to make. So I'll make it a little bit bigger and I'll cut it down as needed. All right, we marked where the patch has to be made in the other fender. There's the red line. And then we punched holes, and then we put that back with indexes on that hole right there. And then we marked it through the holes on here. So that's the exact location the other fender has the patch that's going to be needing put in there. So I just wanted to show how great a tool this just a straight edge ruler is. And we know it rocks like crazy here, but you can see here there's a lot of compound in that little piece. It's got quite a bit of rock, more so as you come towards this edge here. So it's got a radius going that way and a radius going that way. Then it has the bead, which we're going to have to reproduce. So the next step is we found a piece of 19 gauge steel. We measured it. That's what it is. And we're going to cut that piece out next. All right, there's our blank all cut out. We got about 1/4 of an inch extra all around. I needed about 3/8 of an inch to make the wrap around on the wired edge. I got that. And first thing we got to do is put the compound in there. So what I want to do is locate this here. This one's going to be real important. That goes actually right there. There it is right there. And then I'm going to put, that's the edge, that's the edge. So you can see that has to come up that much right there. And then we'll find the gauge for the, see if we have one that goes down the center or so. Yeah, number 3. Okay, so we got to locate that too. So pop a little index mark here and here. Gauge 3 goes on there, and gauge 3 was this one. It's 2 and 3 are the same. So we put that right there. Yeah, that's where it went right there. So that has to go right there. So you can see there's going to be a roll in it, and the roll gets you one of the radiuses, but the actual stretching has to make the other radius. We'll roll this, but we'll have to stretch it in order to get this back and forth radius here. And I've got a little bit of rust on the back. I'm going to take that off with some phosphoric, and then we have the option of putting this in the wheel and wheeling it into shape, or we can tap it a little bit on a bag and then follow up with a wheel. I'm probably going to tap it. makes it happen a lot faster. All right, so we have our panel all marked up for the gauges as well. We did that all with the flexible shape pattern. We put the gauge lines in here. So you can see that has to go that much there. And then this has to go that much there. So we can pop some radius in it first here. Let's see if we can just bend it a little bit. And then we're going to hit it with the mallet a little. I got to lean into it a little. Okay, so I put a little bit of roll in it there. Let's see if I don't think we have enough yet. All right. So it needs a little bit more. Let's try the fulcrum block over here. All right, so this is what I call a fulcrum block. It's a good thing to bend on, so it makes it a lot easier. Bend that up. All right, so there's our gauge. It's now reading pretty good. And then we put our second gauge on. Needs about 3/16 of an inch of crown. That's right in the center of the panel. So let's just give it a couple little love taps here. We could do this all with the wheel. Straighten that out a little bit. And put that one on. And we got about half of the rise that we need in there. Let's give it a little bit more tension in the center. That should be enough. We'll do that the rest of the way with the wheel. Let's see how much we got it overbent right here now. Let's see. Now we got to take some of that out. So. There we go. Now we're on the money. All right, so now we'll wheel this out. Let's see if we can use this wheel. Now, it's one of the problems with a small panel like this. You don't have much room for your fingers when you're working this tiny little panel. So this was a problem in the shop. So guess what I did? So I designed and built a couple small wheels for doing small work like this. This was the first one here. And then we have another one over here. And here's the second one. And this one here I'm going to offer for sale as far as the plans go and maybe a kit. And it's a precision machine. So this little wheel is going to be a great little tool for doing small work. And we've got different size wheels. We'll be making all of these. We got this size. And we also have these real tiny ones we're making up. So each one has a different yoke, and it'll be a great little tool for people that want to model small cars, like, you know, quarter scale or smaller. And it'll also be a good tool for just people who want to make small patch panels. So we're going to hopefully offer this as a kit soon, just like we do with the YouTube wheel, or at least plans. You can see that shining up pretty quick over here. I've got plenty of room for my hands with this. Now you could actually put these smaller yokes and wheels on the YouTube wheel too. You'd have to put a spacer in there. That's another way. So I mean, maybe you might be interested if you have the YouTube wheel or something that will adapt. We'll be offering these yokes and wheels for sale separately. And this is a bench mounted wheel. The base doesn't come with it. It's easily shipped too. All right, so let's go back and we'll see where we're at now. All right, we'll take a little bit of the curve out. That's not bad. And look at that. Look at that. We're right on the money. And we're on the money this way too. Pretty good. So that should fit in there pretty nicely, maybe with a little adjustment. But what we have to do now is we have to figure out the bead. So we're gonna get the bead set up on my tipping wheel, and we'll have to do a couple tests with the same metal and get the bead in there. And the bead will be formed so it'll look just like this, and it'll have a 90-degree flange going down, and that flange, after we weld it in, will get rolled over and it'll look just like the factory. And the bead, we don't have a particular bead die for like a bead roller, so we have to do it in a different manner in my tipping wheel. All right, we got the panel all shaped up and we got it marked where we're going to put the bead in. And let's go over to the tipping wheel. I had a little plastic die here with the two metal dies up top, and that should give us the desired result. I've done it differently before. We just recently did a Fender like this, one of the students from Canada, and we had a totally different setup, but I can't remember the setup that we did with him. So push this through a couple times and it should pop that bead up nice. I don't do too much bead work, so I don't have a lot of bead roller dies and all that stuff. If I did more, I'd probably just make the dies. We have a CNC lathe. But a tipping wheel is so versatile, you can pretty much do anything on it. And like I said, we have done a bunch of these Fenders in the past, and we always came up with a method to get it done. So there's a bead. Let's go take a look, see what it looks like. Looks like it's going to join up okay. The curve seems pretty nice, lining up nice. So now what I have to do is this edge has got to tip in, and then we have to fit the whole deal. We'll trim this away, mark it on the inside, trim it away, and try to get a real nice tight fit around here. So that's going to be just marking it with the magic marker, probably clamp it in there, and then we'll slowly whittle this extra material away. But before we do that, maybe we'll pop this down to give us our 90-degree bend on that side there. That little extra material becomes the material that wraps around the wire. You can see it over here, wraps right around. All right, so we have the patch clamped in, As you can see, it's got a little crown right there. We don't want the crown on that bead, so we'll have to bring that down a little bit, but I can mark it with the superfine pen on the inside, and that will give me my preliminary cutaway. I got to cut and trim to make that fit. And I don't want to cut it right on the line. I'll just carefully whittle away. You straighten this little arc that doesn't want to be in there by putting a 2x4 here, 2x4 here, and just slapping it once. That'll straighten it right out. So you can see even a small damaged area like this on the side of your fender, and this is a very vulnerable area, it's not easily fixed. It's nothing you can bend over your knee and MIG weld in and expect perfect results. You've got to do all this precision measuring and have a plan, follow the procedure, follow the process right, and you will get really good results. So we're going to trim it down, fit it in, and then we'll start tacking it in. All right, so we just got the two little 2x4s. There's nothing better than two 2x4s. You can straighten out so much with two 2x4s. What they are is two fulcrum points. This is the lever. Now, when you hit with a slapper, you don't want to hit like this because you bump it. We want to hit it this way where there's no chance of biting on the edge. So we'll put that right where we need to. And that bead should be strong enough to withstand that hit. Let's see if we got that straight. Got a little rock still. It probably needs a little bit of crown, I'm not sure. That's better. All right, we'll put it back over there and see what it looks like. All right, put it in place, and it's still a little bulgy in the middle, so I got to bring that center down just a little bit more. All right, that looks better. I like that. It's got a little bit of crown to it. That should be okay. We marked it on the back by just taking the pen and running the pen on there. So now I'm going to take and use the blue tape, and I'll start whittling this away. I won't go right to the line. I'll leave a 1/16 or so and just bring it in slowly. All right, I cut it down. As you can see, I left a little extra around the blue line here. So first thing I want to do is grind these so I can line up this line here. Then I'll slowly whittle this away. So I got a 50 grit, brand new one. So I still leave a little extra there. So my objective is now to bring this down a little bit at a time till I get right where the bead goes, so I can put this valley lined up with that valley on both sides. It's getting close. Alright, so it's almost there now. I'm down in, I think. So now I can start whittling the edge away here. Let's try this edge. That's flush right there now, so that's getting better. A little bit over here. So you can see it's a fussy little job. You got to take your time. It might be 5 to 10 minutes to grind that in. So we'll get it all ground in, and then we'll clamp it up and put a couple tacks in it. There we go. It's all fit nice now. The curve in the bead is perfect. It's all nice and flush. The widest opening I've got here is probably about 20 or 30 thou maybe. I'm going to put copper under this, bring the TIG welder over, and we'll put a couple tacks in it. All right, today we're going to tack this in, and we're using the Harbor Freight Vulcan welder. Been using this a lot. You can plug it into 110. It's 110 or 220 compliant, and it's a really nice little welder. I love it for steel. I haven't had too much aluminum experience with it, but I think it'll do pretty good on the aluminum too. So we're just going to give it a couple light tacks here, using a really small hole 30 rod, 40 amp thread. We want to try to make sure this gets nice and flush. We got that corner caught. Move the clamp over. Sometimes you have to give it a little tap just to make sure it's good and flush. So we're going to go right around the horn here, make sure it's flush, and we'll get it all tacked in. And I think that's all we're going to be able to do today. And the next video will show you it all welded in. You've seen plenty of my welding videos, so it'll just be welded in after we get it tacked. And then we'll metal finish it, and we'll start doing some of the other metal finishing that has to happen on the rest of the fender after we get it welded in. All right, we'll continue tacking this up. There's no sense in showing you the whole tacking process. You can see it. We'll have it all welded, and then on the next video we'll do all the metal finishing of the weld and show you how to do the metal finishing of all the dents and stuff. And I think that'll be it on these fenders. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned a bunch. It's Ray from ProShaper Workshop. Please remember to subscribe, give us the likes, hit that little notification bell, and give us the comments. Remember, metal is clay. Thanks.